Hey, this is me building and strategizing a $2 million per year business in public. Last month I made 139 grand and next month I want to hit 167 grand. So I normally start with some questions and answers. I take the questions from my daily updates channel. That's what you guys are looking at right here. If you guys have any questions you'd like me to answer, you can drop down whatever the hell you want on one of my videos and I will eventually get to it. After this, we're going to do some brand stats and finally we'll round it out with some daily strategy. All right, Ariel, Tababoff 3114 says, can you make a course on how to create an offer plus cold emails? Yes. Easiest question of my life. I will. GMoney7219 says, hey Nick, I've been studying your content religiously now for about 1 week and I want to get started building automations ASAP. Would you suggest scrolling Upwork and building out some of automations people and companies are posting for just to get some practice rounds in? Or would you just jump straight into it out of the gate? Would love your opinion on this. P.S. You would make a great voice actor. Try saying arise, like Sung Jin-woo from Solo Leveling. I don't know what that is. Oh, yes, I do. Dude, I've read Solo Leveling. And actually, my buddy just told me to watch it. That's sick. Arise. Yeah. Listen, G-Money, dog, my unit. That's basically what you're saying right now, right? If you're scrolling through Upwork and building out some of those automations for people or companies just to get some practice rounds in, oh, sorry, I understand. So you're trying to say, should I do like some practice Upwork jobs before I do some real jobs? Or should I just jump straight into applying to Upwork jobs? Yeah, just jump straight into applying to Upwork jobs. There's no reason not to. If you're going to put the time and effort in to build something out, you might as well take the thing that you just built out and then put it in front of the customer and say like, hey, how's it going? You know, I've actually already built the whole thing that you're asking for. I did it for you for free. Here it is. Like the marginal cost on your end is going to be like $1 or $2 per application. And when you do the work ahead of time and present it to somebody like that, basically the only thing that decides whether or not you'll win that job is are they going to see the proposal? So you have total control over that if you just bid really high. So if you've done the work ahead of time, just bid really high, outbid everybody else. And then when they see it, your proposal to reply rate will be much higher. And then if they don't, you don't get refunded the connects anymore because Upwork has changed how they do it, but you don't get charged the connect amount and the connects go right back in your balance. So yeah, Jordan Jordanov or Jordan Andonov says, hey Nick, amazing video packed with valuable information as always. The section where you talked about structuring emails really stood out to me. Right now, my partner and I are struggling with emails. We believe the core issue lies in how we're structuring them. I've been racking my brain for the past couple of days trying to figure it out and write a well-structured email. So that part of the video could not have come at a better time. Huge thanks for that. Dude, if you love that, I don't know if you're in Maker School and if you want me to pitch it to you, but I just did a big workshop, for Maker School, essentially all about how to like structure a high converting cold email. It's like a 25-minute Loom video, and it's private to the group. So I do this sort of stuff, like showing people how to take their emails to the next level. I do roasts and stuff like that. Definitely check it out if you can justify spending that money for 1 month, you have access to that. So no issues. My question is, what are your thoughts on the current state of lead acquisition automation, specifically around personalized mass emails? We're currently exploring which service to specialize in, and personalized email outreach is one of our top contenders. I really value your opinion on this, especially since to my knowledge, you've offered a similar service in the past, many similar types of services. I'm not trying to ask for a list of high ROI ideas, but honestly, my brain's a bit fried right now. I'm having a hard time thinking clearly. If you have any concepts you think are worth exploring, I'd love to hear them. Thanks in advance. Always a pleasure watching your content. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you. I had a total shit day, but this is okay. It's probably the latest daily update I've recorded in a while. It's almost like 8 p.m. I'll tell you guys more about that later. But okay, so what are your thoughts on the current state of lead acquisition automation, specifically around personalized mass emails? They're great, man. I mean, there really is no better time than now to build out personalization flows because the number of new entrants coming into cold email is higher now than it has ever been before. The way that I see things, cold email, was basically like really, really big, and then it dropped down, and then COVID hit, and then it just had this big renaissance, and then AI personalization hit, and it's been up like this. So, this was probably, just in terms of cold email effectiveness, this was probably the peak, and the peak was probably like 1 year ago. But I mean, compared to every other marketing method out there, cold email is still way better than anything you could ever try. Yeah. You're going to deliver better CPM, cost per booked meetings, essentially cost per acquisitions, whatever you want to call them, than virtually anything else, so long as the person that's running the cold email campaign is competent. And your cost per acquisitions get driven so much lower when you sprinkle in a little bit of personalization. So the skill set required to build these sorts of things is very much in demand right now. So yeah, personalized mass emails is the way to go. That's what I do. That's what everybody in all my programs do. This is what you want to do. Focus less on simple icebreaker personalization now. The market has shifted so that you can't just, customize the first line of an email and then have that still work really, really well and deliver you 5 to 10% reply rates like it was doing just a couple of years ago. Essentially, what you want to do if you want to deliver really high ROI, high value emails is you instead need to constrain the flexibility of the model a lot so that instead of doing something like, if I just open up a new text thing, instead of saying like, hey, X, and then personalization, like a lot of people are doing, I'm Nick. I deliver $50,025 in new revenue average per month for service companies in the X niche. So instead of doing this, okay, where your personalization variable is just one huge long thing and you're giving AI total reign over how it wants to write the personalization, which ultimately a lot of the time just leads to kind of shit results nowadays. Instead of doing that, I recommend you do something like this instead. Love thing about them. Refreshing to see, refreshing thing, refreshing paradigm. Figured I'd reach out. So basically, instead of you having like a general personalization variable where you just give the whole thing to AI and you're like, hey, do it. My recommendation now is actually use your copywriting chops, okay, and then constrain the output quite a bit. Write templated bits like, hey, I love that you're doing this. It's refreshing to see that you're doing that. Figured I'd reach out. If you don't constrain it like this, typically the flexibility of AI ends up being more of a drawback these days than it is a benefit. And the reason why is because like a lot of the time the icebreakers that people make are just like, they're really flamboyant. It's like, hey, X, incredible to see your vitality in your new role at whatever company. It's like, nowadays people pattern match that to mean that AI helped them write it. And the whole point of high performing cold emails is that they are perceived personalized, right? So yeah, that's probably my main tip over there. Jordan Andonov. Hopefully that helps. But just find a more creative way, I would say, to apply personalization so that it's not just it's not just like personalize the whole email and it's not just like personalize one line. It's like personalize these specific parts of the lines that have the highest potential return on investment. That are like the crux of the argument. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Paraphrased versions of content they've produced is really valuable. If somebody recorded a podcast, like you could run a podcast sourcing campaign where you source people with podcasts and you pitch them some product, right? The people that have podcasts, what you do is you get the podcast, you get the transcript of the podcast, and then you just get 3 interesting things that like the person said during the podcast. You have AI paraphrase and summarize them. And then you just put it in your email and be like, hey, big fan of X, Y, and Z. It's refreshing to see somebody so anti-hype and blah, blah, blah. Figured I'd reach out. Love specifically this, 1, when you talked about this thing, and 2, when you talked about that other thing, and 3, when you talked about that other thing. You could run mass emails, thousands a day on every single podcast in the entirety of the world. You'd never run out because there's more than 1,000 podcasts being created every day. And then every person who received one of those emails would 100% think that you sat down and listened to their whole podcast. You could do this thing for like a token cost of like $20 a month. Like there's so much low hanging fruit here. There's a massive overhang in terms of things that people could do versus things that people are actually doing. Cold email is not even like 1/100th at the volume that I think people will soon be sending. Okay, Alexis says, hey Nick, the content strategy you're choosing to take for a main channel, different category videos each day, is pretty similar to the one I suggest in my application. Thanks for the validation. Lol, ha ha ha, hell yeah. Just to confirm, you finalized the YouTube strategist role hire. I have, yes. A young, ambitious man by the name of Malik sent me over several pages, basically pitching the hell out of me. He produced a bunch of thumbnails for me. Then he wrote me a script, and then he made me a bunch of outlines, and then he gave me a bunch of tips on positioning and stuff. And my God, when somebody floods you with that much value right up front and speaks my language as well as he did, you'd be silly to say no to him. So I brought him on. We'll see how things go for the rest of the month, but he is extraordinarily high value so far, and it's just been a few days. So thank you to everybody that applied for that position. I really appreciate it. Hopefully anybody that wanted feedback got feedback from me. If you haven't gotten feedback from me and you like some feedback, just shoot me over an email asking for some. More than happy to go through your application. Maybe I could even do it live, on video if you guys are down. Maybe include that in the email reply. But yeah, really appreciate everybody that submitted an application so far. And I'm definitely going to have more availability and room on the team as I continue to grow. All right. Mr. Tim says, "Hey, Nick, I've watched your content since the beginning and have learned a lot from you. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. A broader question. I've been running an AI automation agency for 9 months now and generating 25 to 30K EBITDA per month and growing. People that don't know EBITDA just means earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Just a fancy accountant term to basically say how much, what net is your business pulling before you pay taxes. So Tim is pulling 25 to 30K, and actually I think that's pounds. So like, what's the multiplier in pounds? Like 1.3 or something. So he's basically making like 35K a month, I think, which is sweet. I've been approached by an investment fund who wants to invest in my business. I don't need the capital, but the opportunity to service all their portfolio companies could be a significant growth opportunity for me. Do you have a point of view on AI automation agency valuations? Marketing agencies go for 4 to 6x EBITDA, but this industry has far more growth potential. Would love to hear your thoughts." Well, it's interesting that you're saying that. I definitely didn't get my marketing agency at a 4 to 6x EBITDA. Like when I got pitched, it was like 2.3x or something initially, and then like I negotiated up to just under 3. But like even then, like 20% of it was down, right? And then the other 80% was essentially equity in the acquiring business, and then like performance based essentially. So I don't know, man. Like I don't personally see I don't see a 4 to 6x EBITDA, but who knows? Maybe this is a couple years ago and maybe it's different now. So let me just. This is not my area of expertise, so I'm not going to talk on it. Yeah, so that's not my area of expertise. I'll leave it there at my experience. Let me just say that this angle here that Tim is saying about servicing all their portfolio companies, that is a huge growth opportunity. A lot of the time, what you'll find is there'll be like a dude that just reached out to me actually just like 2 weeks ago. Dude that just like owns a stake in or a significant controlling portion in like 20 businesses. And they're usually in the exact same niche. So in my case, it was like dental businesses. And he was on some sort of arrangement with these dental businesses, with the owners or maybe, sorry, with the managers, because the way they typically split dental businesses is you have like the dentist and you have like the business manager, right? But he owned like, he had a stake in, I should say, like 30 of them or something. So if you can build a system that improves the profitability of one of them, it is a no-brainer for that dude or gal to copy and paste that same system you built to their other 29 portfolio companies, right? I mean, that would just be stupid for you not to. And that's really the whole value here, economies of scale, right? So when you find an opportunity like this, when you find somebody that owns multiple businesses, you hold on to these guys, okay? Because these people can be so extraordinarily valuable. Like a single business deal could make you several $100,000 a year. Another example, specifically in the dental niche, one of my friends, a guy that actually reached out to me in Calgary and was like, "Hey, Nick, I really like your stuff. Want to hang out with you." His name is Gio. He started working with exactly what I'm talking about. Basically like some big dental, almost like a private equity company that like specializes in these dental businesses. And they have this massive portfolio of dental companies. And like he got in with one of them, and then he had the opportunity to pitch one of the systems for all of the other businesses. And I remember like we went on this big walk at this park, beautiful park in Calgary called Nose Hill. And he was like, "Dude, what the hell do I do?" And I remember telling him like, "Dude, you gotta blow this one guy out of the water. And then you got to like come in and you got to pitch him on implementing this on every single other business like today. Like there's nothing higher priority." He had all these other business projects going on, but I was like, there's nothing higher priority than doing this. So he went and he did that. And within like 2 or 3 months, I mean, the guy ended up, I don't know if he rented or he bought. I think he might've actually bought this much real estate in Calgary, like an entire like 3 or 4 story office or some shit like that. I'm not entirely sure on the specifics. I haven't actually been to said office. He invited me, but I was a little bit busy at the time. His team grew so quickly. I think he has several dozen staff. And it's all because like that one deal with that one person amounted to hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. So when you have the opportunity to do that, you do that wherever possible, okay? And yeah, I mean, like, if you can get a 4 to 6x EBITDA, Tim, like, do it, man. 30,000, let's see, what's pounds? Let's not talk CAD, okay? Yeah, so it's 7. Yeah, okay. So it's like he's basically making like 35 G's. Okay. So 35 G's a month in EBITDA, if you just think about it, is $420,000 earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That's huge, right? Most marketing agencies and stuff will have like between 20 to 50% margins. So I don't think his is like that. His is probably higher margins, but if it was 20 to 40%, that means he'd already be making $1 million top line, right? Which is pretty crazy. So great work, Tim. Really stoked on it, man. Nice work scaling this high in just 9 months. I think if you scaled this high in just 9 months, you could scale goddamn straight to the moon over the course of the next 9. So let's see it. Okay, one more from Abdul. He says, "Hey Nick, loving the daily updates. Content man, creative. Pretty much no one else is doing this in the industry right now. And I believe in a few years, this kind of content is what people would be more interested in, so they'd crave for more genuineness." Thank you. This is exactly what I'm thinking as well. Anyways, one of your videos, you mentioned that you'd like to convert all your make scenarios to N8N. Wanted to ask if you've been able to do that. If not, I'm more than willing to do it for you. I know at this point it'd be a really low ROI task for you to do. So just let me know if you're interested in me doing it for you. Cheers. It's all good, my brother. I had somebody else take care of that for me, but I really do appreciate that. Just because Abdul didn't ask a whole question, I'm just going to run through Randall's instead. If I'm doing rev share with a client, I'm doing cold email lead gen, booking meetings for them. How do I go about tracking this, view only options and payment processors? And if so, what about clients that don't use ones that does this? Also, I'm taking the consultative approach in sales calls, but I'm having a hard time transitioning from talking about them into providing my solution and then into my sales pitch. Thanks, Nick. I'm going to assume that second one's a question. Don't worry, I'll answer that too. So listen, the best way to deal with rev share, like the optimal way is, if I don't know, I'm going to call this let's change this to black. I'm not grading anybody's paper. If we talk rev share tier list, okay? I love these tier lists. That's not what I wanted to do. Like the best, okay, top, A tier, S tier is get invited as a user or an admin really to their payment processor. That is S tier. Why? Because this is total 100% transparency. You know every dollar that business makes in that payment processor. In that payment processor is important because not every business makes all of their money through one payment processor. A lot of them will have separate accounts that receive money through direct deposits for some clients, checks for some other clients, Stripe invoices for others, right? So just keep in mind, we're just talking about per payment processor. So S tier is being invited as a user to the payment processor of interest, maybe payment processors, who knows, and then having total visibility into everything, okay? That's S tier. Let's, what should I do for color? Maybe I'll just go lighter, okay? A tier, which is less blue or cool than S tier, is what you basically do is you have some sort of standardized, automation that dumps stuff from the payment processor onto some visible thing. So you don't have direct access to the payment processor, okay? But you have view access to some sort of database. And the idea is the database is a one-to-one reflection of the payment processor, okay? So what you do is you tell the dude, hey man, I'm 100%, let's do this. Let me set up an automation that'll just log payments that have some sort of metadata that we are interested in, maybe some sort of project type or some naming convention in the invoice, and just adds them to a Google Sheet. And at the end of the month, we'll just have an automation that'll automatically add them all up. And then, that's how we'll queue up my invoice, okay? That's sort of like A tier. Obviously, it's not as cool as having like total control over the payment processor and being able to see everything because who knows, the person may still be sort of fucking around on you, right? That's just sort of how life is there. Okay, B tier. Man, I wish I changed these colors. I actually like that color more. I think that's definitely more representative of an S tier. B tier, instead of view access to a database or whatever, is you have some sort of form that the customer fills for onboarding. Okay. Now, if you think about it, this is interesting. It's not your customer, it's the customer's customer. You're doing some rev share for lead gen, and then you have some onboarding form. What you do is you have it so that your onboarding form fill dumps to a database and gives you a notification when the customer fills it out, okay? And that onboarding form for the customer, that's sort of your signal that the deal has gone through. I like this method, and maybe it's like also somewhat A tier, but I like this method because it's like, if you make it an integral part of your client's experience, you say, hey, it's an onboarding form, it'll completely automate, blah, 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 whatever, here it is. Then the customer is incentivized, your client is incentivized to use it for their customers. And so it's just sort of like it's like a filter that they have to pass through in order to get the onboarding process started, meaning it aligns your incentives and the client's incentives as well. Both of you guys are basically aligned to see some sort of end result. Okay. And then I'd say probably the crappiest tier, I got to stop swearing in these videos. C tier, maybe we'll go orange, is just client tells you. Okay. So this is the tier list. Ideally, you'd be invited as a user to a payment processor. Hey, insert client name here. All you have to do in order for us to get up and running with this thing is just invite me as a user to your Stripe account. I will have visibility into the deals that go through, and just use this SOP when sending out an invoice. So that way I'll know which ones have the metadata that we're interested in. Just total transparency. I'm going to know however much money I'm helping generate. There's going to be no misunderstandings. And the reason why this is valuable for you is then I will just invoice you for exactly that amount every month. I don't need to have you generate an amount or calculate something on your end. Everything's just 100% automatically taken care of for you. The second is view access to database. Hey, so I know you said that your payment processor doesn't support X, Y, and Z. That's all good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an automation that just dumps the transactions that I'm interested in to a Google Sheet. It'll just be our Google Sheet that we're going to use in order to track all this stuff. You'll have full access to it. I'll have full access to it. And that way, at the end of the month, I'll know exactly how much to send you an invoice for. I'll do it completely automatically. It's not going to take any additional work off you. Sound good? B tier, form customer fills for onboarding. Hey, insert client name here. As part of the rest of the work, I built this super cool onboarding form. As I mentioned, this completely automates all of your all of your onboarding. It creates a Google Drive folder for the client, and it sends them an email and invites them to a call and does all this really cool stuff. So basically, all you need to do is once the customer is signed, get them to fill out this form, and then we'll be good to go. Now you have some information on there where it tells you how much money the freaking guy made off of him, right? I don't know, what package did you choose? This package, that package, that package, or maybe hard-coded it in the form. Well, now you know how much money you're making. And then you can say, okay, based off of that, I'm going to send you an invoice at the end of the month. Or you could just use that to verify whatever they tell you. And then C tier is, hey client, here are my balls and here is a machete, and I would like you to just do whatever you would like to these things. Please don't screw me on this deal. Tell me how much money I've made you, right? Obviously, the latter is not the best. But to be frank with you, I've had a lot of situations with clients where I do rev share or some sort of revenue share. Usually I'm not owning any equity in the business, but usually some sort of revenue share where the client will just tell me how much money I've helped them make that month. And I'm sure I've been screwed before. Guaranteed. Most of the people here that I love to death that I've worked with for a long time, I'm sure they've screwed me a little bit. But if they screwed me a little bit, it's probably not that much. Maybe it's 10% here, 20% there. Am I getting screwed a bit? Yeah, I am. But I'm still making a lot of money on this. My return on investment is crazy. Whether they screw me because of their negligence or because they genuinely want to squeeze every last dollar out of me that they can is not really anything I could ever know. So as long as you generally work with people that you trust, people that you get kind of good gut intuition, good vibes from, the client telling you doesn't necessarily have to be the worst thing in the whole wide world. Okay? All right. So that's how I structure all that stuff. Hopefully that makes sense, Randall. In terms of the consultative approach, hard time transitioning, I'm talking about them providing my solution, and then into your sales pitch. I mean, if you think about it, man, your sales call, your whole call as a consultative salesperson is your pitch. You don't have a pitch. It's not oh no, let me ask all these questions. Oh, that sounds good. Okay, great. And let me give you the solution. Okay, that sounds great. And time for my sales pitch. Step right up, step right up. Here is my perfect 30-second sales pitch. We start with this, we do that. You don't actually do that. It's a very organic sort of process. Your solution is usually, you just ask them a ton of questions, right? And while you ask them a ton of questions about their business, about how much money they make off of their clients, what the customer fulfillment, what the customer journey looks like, how you transition from a lead that you're, courting essentially into a client that you're fulfilling. Once you ask them all these questions, you sort of instinctively know, okay, that person sucks at that. That person sucks at that. That person could really use a system like that. I think we could probably drive some value with that. You already know this. So all you do is you say, hey, so, while you were telling me about this, a couple things stood out to me. I thought that you weren't doing this as well as you could be, that as well as you could be, and that as well as you could be. Based off of our numbers, I'm thinking this is probably costing you somewhere in the realm of, $20,000 or $30,000 a month. What do you think about that? They'll be like, yeah, okay, I guess that's kind of right. And then it's all right, cool. Well, here's a system that I've seen people use to solve the first problem. Here's a system that I've built to solve the second problem for somebody else. And here's a system that I think we could probably do for that other thing to solve this. So it's a very consultative, very sort of conversational back and forth. And in terms of how to showcase the system, dude, I literally just screen share and then I go hey, how cool is this? This system does this, or I'll talk about a client that I did. I will walk them through over the shoulder with a make.com scenario. It's not like a demo. It's not like the spotlight's on me and it's super high risk or anything like that. I'm just talking one business owner to another and showing them some cool shit. So for me, I'm not really worried or pressured about it. And after a while, you do enough of these that it stops being a big deal anyway. So hopefully that makes sense, Rendell. Okay, just because I love Keys and Coffee 7733 and I like watches, he says I'm that watch guy. When I broke my watch and I was like, oh no, I hope there are no watch guys in the chat. He's saying I have a classy Bambino or into solid brand, my personal introductory brand. Now I'm an addict. Thank you. Yeah, my buddy Reiner got me on watches. He is actually the one that got me into the rabbit hole whereby I got the Bambino. And he was responsible for getting me he was actually responsible for getting me, well, not getting me, but telling me which Seiko to get. I got like one of the cheapest Seikos, but I got this like French strap, Seiko French strap. Oh God, is it called the French strap? Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, well I didn't get one of these Seikos. I got a much cheaper one, but I got myself a little French strap and I wore that for like a good 2 years. Big fan. Geez, I don't even remember what the name of the model is. That sucks. When I find it out, I'll get back to you. But yeah, anyway, that is your question and answer for the day. Let's do some daily. Let's do some brand stats. There we go. So where am I at? My Instagram, my main YouTube channel, 61,928. That's cool. We've grown 282. It seems like it's more than yesterday, but it's not. It's just because I'm 12 hours later than I normally record this video. My Instagram is 55,912. So that seems like it's gone up a lot, but again, it's not. It's just haven't recorded for another additional 12 hours or so. My daily updates is 2,057. One of the videos went kind of viral the other day, so this one is sort of realistic. It was this one here where I swung the lightsaber around. So that was kind of cool. I kind of want some cool, sexy gimmick. Maybe I'll swing a lightsaber around more. But I think this is, it's the fastest growing, most viewed daily update by far. 2,000 in 24 hours, right? This one's 2,400, but it's been 6 days. That one's 2,700. It's been 10 days or something. This one here is the juice. So I think that's just a testament to the fact that this is growing really quickly. And then this got a bunch of likes as well. It's got some downvotes. People don't like that. It looks like I'm rustling some feathers. So yeah, that's that. Things are going well. Obviously, just in terms of a little life update, I'm in a different apartment right now. That's why the background looks so different. Yeah, to make a long story short, just to fill you guys in on my life, the apartment that I'm staying at, or that I was staying at before, and which I am still technically staying at now, is my family. So I'm just doing them a favor by house sitting. They have some issues with some of the heating and ventilation parts of their home. They're just really worried that in the cold Calgary winters, they will freeze. So they asked me if I could, watch over it and stuff like that. So I said, absolutely, no problem. Moved in there, helped them pay their bills and stuff like that. But then they had some issue and I don't know, the scaffolding, not scaffolding, the building envelope, got some moisture in it or whatever. So then they had to, hire a big engineering crew to come in and fix it. And then they just started the construction now. And I didn't realize how freaking loud it would be. These guys just pile driving my wall. So it's funny. Over the course of the last year and a half of doing content, I've had 3 or 4 of these incidences in all of the different places I've lived. There's just some bullshit construction going on. So normally what happens is I will just stay in that apartment and hate my life, and I won't be able to focus for the week, 2 weeks. And then my content suffers, I make way less money, and I just want to fucking kill myself, if I'm honest. I mean, woe is me. It's a hard life, right? Obviously not. It's just me living in a house with noise. But just to be real with you, it's not that big of a deal. But this time, immediately the second that it happened, I went and I figured out how long it was slated to keep happening for, and it's supposed to happen for a couple more weeks. And within a few minutes, I went and I got an Airbnb, and I was like, all right, well, I'm making a ton of money, so I don't have to deal with this. And if all of that noise leads me to work for even 2 hours less over the course of the next week, and believe me, it'd probably lead me to work 20 hours less, just given how many times it interfered with my recording, then I will be making a positive ROI by getting this Airbnb. So I went and got myself a nice Airbnb. It's not a penthouse suite, but it's kind of really close to a penthouse suite. Downtown Calgary, super sexy. Obviously, we got the nice, background paintings and shit like that. The only unfortunate thing is the elevator wasn't working when I got here. I was informed that it would get fixed, but not entirely working, which kind of blows. Who knows? Yeah, so that's kind of an update on my life. That's why I said that my day hadn't gone very well. Hadn't gone very well because I haven't actually been able to record anything until almost 8 p.m., right? That's okay. Yeah, to make a long story longer, my content strategist has been really, really helpful recently. So he just wrote me this script, which was basically um, word for word what I've said in a number of my other videos, all about what business owners actually want to see sold, which is essentially, in order to sell a business owner, you don't sell the technology, you sell the outcome. And so this is all like basically a strategic high level guide on how to sell an outcome, how to not sell the technology, but how to actually sell the outcome, how to position or package your product or service in a way that business owners actually want. So that's pretty amazing. I'm pretty jazzed on that. I've also found an editor that I think is going to work great. So I'm going to finally start producing and publishing content on YouTube again on my main channel, which I have not done now in over, I think, like 8 or 9 days. I'd have to double check, but that's going to be pretty cool. I'm really stoked about this. And in terms of the amount of work that this takes me on a daily basis now, it's like 10 or so minutes. And then I actually go and I record the script. As I mentioned to you guys in the last video, I'm doing kind of a conversational bit now, which is nice. And I think that's just going to allow me to weave in this much more efficient content production pipeline with the things that made my content really, really high value to a large number of people simultaneously. So I'm going to get to really get the best of both worlds. And then, yeah, we're just going to screw around. We're going to make some nice thumbnails. We're going to try out a bunch of different approaches. And really, at the end of the day, we're just going to try helping as many people as we possibly can. I think I have the ability to just generate 5 times, 10 times the amount of content that most other people do because of some weird, unique thing that I have that, maybe it's just due to the specific place in my life or the skills that I managed to build over the course of the last years. I'm capable of producing a lot more volume at a lot higher quality than most other people in my niche and in other niches. So if I just press this button for a very long time, I have no doubt in my mind that I will hit that 167K a month and beyond, probably pretty soon. So yeah, that's that. And then just one more strategic thing I wanted to share with you guys. I want to reduce churn in my community. So as part of me wanting to reduce churn, what I've started doing is I'm going to be doing like weekly community exclusive videos and workshops, basically, where I cover some super high ROI, high value tactic or tip or strategy or build. And I'm not going to release it on YouTube. I'm not going to release it anywhere else. What I'm going to do is I'm only going to do it in my community because I want to bring that churn rate down from 20% to like 15%. I mean, right now I've realized at 20% at almost 1,400 members, I'm basically losing like 260 people every month, right? You know how much money 260 is times 66? I lose 17,000 MRR every month. If I could reduce that by even 5%, if I could reduce that by 5%, that'd be reducing it by a quarter. So I'd be making an additional $4,290 in MRR every month, and that adds up, right? 4,300 the first month, 8,600 the second month, 12,900 the third month, and so on and so forth. By the end of the year, I'd basically have like another few $100,000. So that's one big thing that I'm doing. And yeah, I'm going to be doing that both in Make Money with Make.com and Maker School. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what the strategy is going to be there. The only reason why I can actually do this and have these sorts of thoughts is just because I'm now systematizing my content production. So hopefully the people that have been watching this long term, you guys have seen my evolution over the course of just the last month, where I've sort of dove even deeper into content production, been extraordinarily consistent with it for a couple of months. But then I noticed, hey, I'm sort of working in my business, not on my business. Hey, most of my time has been going towards content, and I haven't actually meaningfully improved the quality of my products or services or created new service lines. Then me discovering, oh shit, there's a better way. I should probably start hiring people. How should I do it? I lay out my hiring plan, then I go and I actually hire the people. Now that I'm hiring the people, I have more time available to do things like churn. Hopefully you guys are just seeing kind of where it's all coming from. I'm trying to make it as transparent as possible so that if anybody wants to follow in my shoes, maybe do some sort of community product down the line, you guys are going to have more or less a real life roadmap of how I've done it. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully you guys appreciate the video. If you have any questions at all, you want to know what I ate for breakfast this morning, you want to know a little bit more about where Betty the lightsaber went over here, FYI, or whatever, just leave a comment down below on my videos. As always, love the energy. Thank you very much and looking forward to tomorrow.